Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Since I've been gone, I've been on another cruise, taken another trip to Atlanta, became a published author, launched a publishing company, and had several magazine features written about my journey. As my businesses continue to grow, I decided it was finally time to invest in a professional editorial branding photo shoot. Not just headshots, not just pretty pictures. I needed branding content for my publishing company, author platform, travel brand, websites, media features, marketing campaigns, and book launch activities. So I booked a 3-hour editorial branding photo shoot and flew to Atlanta. And today, I'm taking you along for the experience, what I expected and what actually happened, and how I ended up investing $1,850 and walking away with fewer than 5 branding and editorial images I could actually use for the purpose I hired the shoot to create. Let's start at the beginning. I flew into Atlanta excited. At this point, I had spent weeks preparing for this shoot. I had Pinterest inspiration boards, editorial concepts, branding concepts, book concepts, marketing concepts. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted this shoot to accomplish. These were some of the inspiration photos and concepts I shared before the shoot. Everything was centered around professional branding, editorial storytelling, authorship, publishing, and business ownership. The day of the shoot, I arrived early. As I pulled into the parking garage, the first thing I noticed was the parking sign. $30. I remember laughing and thinking, well, this is part of the investment. $30 later, we were committed. I grabbed my suitcase from the trunk and started making my way toward the building. And honestly, I was excited. The buildings were beautiful. Glass towers everywhere. The entire area felt upscale and professional. Exactly the type of environment where you imagine luxury branding photos, executive portraits, and magazine-style editorial content. Everything looked promising. Because I arrived early, I went inside and asked where I should wait. The gentleman at the desk told me I could have a seat until the photographer arrived. So I sat down in the lobby area and waited. What I didn't know at the time was that the same lobby would later become one of the primary locations used during my photo shoot. Around 3:30, the photographer arrived and took me upstairs. When we got upstairs, she directed me into one of the rooms and told me to place my belongings on the table while we waited for the makeup artist. So I started unpacking books, branding materials, business assets, wardrobe changes, Destiny Legacy items, everything I had brought to create the editorial content I envisioned. While waiting, I started walking around and recording. At this point, I was trying to get a feel for the space and figure out where the editorial sets would be. I saw offices, I saw conference rooms, I saw lecture style rooms, I saw lockers, I saw common areas, I saw beautiful views of the city, but I hadn't yet seen what I personally imagined when I thought of an editorial branding studio. Still, I assumed everything would come together once we got started. And to be fair, the views were beautiful. Atlanta never disappoints when it comes to scenery. Eventually, I was invited into her office. We talked through ideas and concepts for the shoot. She shared examples of previous work and discussed some of the locations we would be using. One thing I remember clearly is mentioning that I was supposed to be vlogging the experience. The photographer told me not to worry because she would be capturing behind the scenes footage for me. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Behind the scenes.
Okay.
When she's gonna do the makeup.
Oh, okay. So from that point forward, I started recording and focused on the shoot itself. And that's where things started to get interesting. Because what happened next and what was ultimately delivered was very different from what I expected when I booked the editorial branding session. So in part 2, I'll show you the concepts I planned, the photos I expected to create, and the images I ultimately received.